Yo, what's good, everybody? I have got 3 guests on the podcast tonight: Misheard Knife Reviews, Tier 1 EDC and Gear Reviews, and Crimson Fury on Instagram, paranormal investigator since 2012. I'm speaking in tongues already because this is the Halloween episode. All right, we all love horror. We're all knife guys, and we, just have a big love for bloody movies. You know what I'm saying? For lack of a better words. Cheers to everybody right now.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Nice. So let's everybody just introduce themselves a little bit, right? You guys already know me. I'm not gonna have to do that. But Crimson Fury, man, let's start with you, buddy. Like, what got you into paranormal investigating and your love of horror? Was that something that you just grew up with? Let's start with that.
The horror part I definitely grew up with. Ever since I saw Gremlins when I think I was 6 years old, which was a huge mistake. I don't think I slept with lights off for a week. I just felt a need to kind of understand horror a little bit better. And then my house was, at the time, it wasn't that haunted. I mean, you'd hear things, humming, and it just got me interested in the mindset of watching unsolved mysteries. But the house I'm in now, in fact, this very room, I've had my ankle grabbed when we first moved in, probably 1999. And that really got me looking what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And then ever since the ghost shows, when we for our 30th birthdays, my wife and I, we decided to go out to Waverly Hills in Kentucky just to kind of see if we could get the same things that these other guys would do. And we did.
Nice.
So, and ever since then, we've been trying to figure out why.
Hey, do you guys ever have these kind of thoughts where something is happening, right? And then since you've watched so many horror, I was just watching Crimson Fury's screen right now, and I see that black kind of is that a pathway or is that a current in the back behind you?
What?
Yeah, right up there to the top right. Yeah, right there. Oh, okay. It's just a black poster type thing. Yeah. I was like, yo, wouldn't it be crazy if a face just came out while he was talking? No, that thing. And I was already thinking that, but dude, that's awesome, man. That's crazy. You know what? How about Tier 1 Gear and EDC reviews, man? What's got you into horror? How did you get into that?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's out for a second. Sorry.
Okay, Tier 1, what got you into horror and what kept you into it,
Look, one of my first movies that I've ever seen when I was a kid was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
That movie that will stick with me for life. And I'll never forget, I came home from school one day about 4 or 5 o'clock. And, it didn't dawn on me, but I'd been asking my dad, hey, look, I want to be Freddy Krueger for Halloween. So it was Halloween weekend and everything. And, I just come home from school, not thinking about it. My mom's like, oh, go check the bathroom in the back room. I don't know what she had told me. I mean, I was 7 at the time, something like that. But I remember walking in the back room and seeing the closet door open and my dad reaching around the closet door with the claw and the mask.
Oh, snap.
Look, I'll never forget that to the day I die. And it's just, man, ever since then, I've been just completely interested in it. Even, watching that with the lights off as a kid and all that, it never really scared me. I was more interested than scared. But there's, have always been certain movies that just creep me out. And I love it.
That's awesome. Misheard Knife Reviews, how about you, dude?
Yeah, so this was kind of a revelation for me recently. I was I'm hardly ever on Facebook, but I was on Facebook and I saw my aunt post movies she's watching recently, and they were all horror movies. And I was like, my aunt's into horror? I had no idea. And then I reached out to my cousin, who he and I were like brothers. We spent, we grew up together, watched movies all the time together. And he's like, yeah, dude, why do you think I'm into horror? I was like, I'm into horror because my aunt's into horror. I guess she got him into it, watching movies all the time with him. And then anytime we were together, man, we were watching horror movies. If we were hanging out on weekends, we would hit up Blockbuster, man. We'd grab all the grossest, dumbest looking stuff we could get, man. And the worse, the better, man, we just have a good old time, man. We had a camping trailer that we would use like to go like camping or hunting, and we would leave it outside at my house, which we didn't like live in the woods. We lived right outside, almost in city limits. We had a tape player in there, man. We sit back and watch Exorcist or whatever, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
Creepy little trailer, together. We had a heck of a time. So I guess my aunt is the answer to that question.
Wow. And actually, like, you're studying to be like a minister, or are you a minister right now? I forget the details.
Yeah. So I finished my PhD about almost this time last year. So done studying, man. I've been studying at graduate level since 2006. So
wow.
It's about time to be doing. So so a Baptist minister. Mostly I've done children and youth ministries, doing worship leadership nowadays at my church. So it's not horror movies are not super popular in the Baptist crowd.
No,
so
no.
I have to do some explaining sometimes and be like, well, look, there's some value here. Like, yeah, there's garbage in every genre, but there's also really good stuff that you should check out, So
I like that about you right away, though. When you told me that, I was like taken aback a little bit. I was like, oh man, do I need to like not curse? Do I need to, do this? But then I could tell that you were a horror movie lover. We've had so many conversations.
Yeah.
Like I let homie use my Shudder account. That's how tight we got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I'm not a good crappy movie.
Yeah.
It's all good, man.
Like the thing with me is I started watching horror really young. I mean, I came from the Philippines. I was born in Naga City, like kind of, Naga's the snake, right? But I was born in Naga City, very superstitious place. You can't sleep at night. We have a holiday called All Souls Weekend, and we sleep in the cemetery where our dead relatives are buried. That happens in the Philippines every year. So I was always around superstition, and, funky stuff would happen, especially when you're driving in the countryside. Maybe you saw something, maybe you didn't. Always like, rumors of ghosts and stuff. Like I gotta say, I haven't experienced as much of that here because I'm in New York City and there's a lot of other things to be fearful of. Like, what I'm saying? Yeah, but I'm definitely into it. I was telling Mr. Knife Reviews about Letterboxd. I don't know if you guys are on that. It's a kind of like a social media platform for movies. So you could put movies. It basically has every movie in the world in it. I've looked for obscure stuff and it's on there. So I list every movie that I've watched every single day. Like I put in, there's like a diary, and you could follow people to see what they've watched. They recommend it to you. It's pretty dope. In October alone, like I've watched already 22 movies as of October 17th, and there hasn't even been 22 days in October yet. So I'm definitely, and all horror. I've only watched horror. You know what? I always say this. I think I watched Jaws too early, right? And like, is Jaws considered horror? Or is it like a science fiction movie? I was thinking about this the other day, and I wanted to ask you guys this because it definitely gives you that feeling of terror, but it's not an apparition. Yeah. It could be a creature, right? But it's a real creature. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
It's a creature feature, 100%. That's what I've always looked at it as, I mean, thinking that even as a kid, putting it in the same category as like, the Thing and stuff like that.
I love The Thing. Yeah. How about you guys, man? How about you, Crimson Fury?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a horror movie. I mean, what other film has put you in that place when you were younger that you think a shark was going to eat you in a pool?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's an insane idea, but you always have that little fear. If it's deep enough, you can't see the bottom. Definitely a horror movie, not sci-fi.
Yeah, dude, I get scared in a swimming pool, and if I go underneath the water in a bathtub, bro, like that's how much Jaws fucked me up. Like that sound of water, like, and you know how everything sounds funny. Yep. It scares the crap out of me. How about you, Mr.
I mean, it just inserted something.
Go ahead, Crimson Fury. What's up?
Sorry, it just inserted like some sort of instinct into us that really hasn't been doubled by another horror movie. And I think that by itself. It should warrant just legendary status. Nothing else has come close.
That's true. Mr. Knife Reviews, what do you think?
It's the first movie that my 9-year-old has straight walked out of watching movie. He's like first time there's like the arm gets bit off his leg, and he's like, "Why would you watch this?" He's like, "I'm out of here, man." I was like, I was about to be like, "Well, hey, it gets better," but I was like, "Does it? Maybe not, actually." But yeah, I mean, it's so real, you know. Like, I mean, I know it's not really real. Like, if you know sharks, it's not really real, but like, it feels like something. It's not like I love Alien, great movie. You know, so it shares some of those same elements of like, you know, you just get glimpses of the creature, but like at the end of the day, like you're never anywhere where you're like afraid that like an alien's going to get you. But you're like in the water, you're like, I don't know, man. I know a girl who like won't get wet with a water hose because she's like, I take showers and that's about it. And I was like, you need to watch Ghost Shark. Have y'all seen Ghost Shark?
Ghost Shark.
Ghost Shark, man.
Wasn't that on Sci-Fi?
Yeah, it's a crappy sci-fi movie, but like anytime there's like a water, like there's like a car wash scene where like the ghost sharks like coming out car wash. Yeah, check it out. Check it out.
That sounds amazing. Like, you know, some of those movies that are so bad they're good, right? There's a lot of those.
Sharknado,
of course, right? You know, revived or sort of Tara Reid's career. I mean, right? Has there been any like horror movies that you've watched this month, new ones, that has really like surprised you? Anything, guys? I watched this movie and I know I'm gonna get a ton of crap for this because I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it. I'm not saying it's like 4 stars. I actually gave it a 3-star rating on Letterboxd. This movie called Books of Blood on Hulu.
Yes.
And I was thinking that this is gonna be like some sort of like kind of crappy anthology that Hulu, you know, put money into, that I was gonna be able to predict everything. And I like that. When I can't predict something in a horror movie, that's when I usually like it and I appreciate it. And this one I couldn't, you know, and I like it when an anthology series, all the stories kind of have something to do with each other. Yeah. I really like that a lot. And I saw that just this morning is when I finished it. I really liked it a lot. How about you guys?
Yeah, the Book of Blood, you know, I started watching it the other night. I thought it was possibly a remake to an older movie come out probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's also called Book of Blood. And I noticed it had a lot of the same things in it with as far as like the book being printed on into somebody's skin. Yeah, it had a lot of similarities to it. And so, you know, I didn't get to watch too much of the first episode. You know, we kind of watched Lovecraft Country and, you know, other things.
That is also a good pick.
That one surprised me right there. I love that show. But yeah, the Book of Blood, you know, I think it has, you know, at least something to do with the older movie. So I was thinking about going back and watching the older movie and seeing, you know, before I watched the actual series or whatever.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Knife Reviews? You watched anything like new this month at all that you were like, oh, this is cool?
Two found footage movies that I really liked. I had never seen Hell House LLC.
Yes.
And
Love.
I was surprised. So I've started to do this thing where like I just run out of time to watch all the movies I want to watch. So I'm just like, you know, I'm going to give like 10 minutes. And if you don't have me by like 10 minutes, I got to move on, man. Because I want to watch good stuff. And so I watched 10 minutes of Hell House LLC. And I was like, all right, stop this. I don't watch it with my wife. My wife loves horror. So it's like, okay, we got to watch this together. She's going to want to see this. So turn that off. My goodness, what a good movie. Really, some really genuinely good scares and just some really good tension, good characters, good acting by like no-name people, you know. I'm sure they got names, but the other one was WNUF Halloween special. Y'all seen that one?
I'm gonna check that out. You told me about it.
Okay, it's real weird, but it's on Shudder. It's like a found footage of like an 80s newscast, and it's a Halloween special, and so like everybody's being real cheesy and 80s, but like believable. It's weird because you think like, oh, it's gonna be like cornball or whatever. It's not. It's like so earnest. You feel like you really found this video from the 80s. It's got crappy 80s commercials in it that are kind of funny. They feel unintentionally funny. This is this guy who's he's got paranormal investigator, and they're exploring this house, and the paranormal investigator's like, no, look, this ain't no joke. We got to get out of here. This is wrong. He's like, hey, it's all right. It's going to be good, you know. And anyway, it gets pretty messed up, but definitely it's so weird. Just like you talking about Ray, talking about like if you can't tell what's going to happen next, definitely's got some surprises.
What is it? WNUF
Halloween special.
Cool on Shudder, right? Crimson Fury. How about you? I feel like Dr. Evil, or the guy from Sprockets on Saturday Night Live. You know, because I'm just like Crimson Fury. How about you?
I haven't really watched a lot of new stuff this year yet. I usually save that for the last week leading up to Halloween, so I can get just a better perspective. I usually like to live retro in the first week. Some scarier stuff in the second one, and then it's a little bit different this year because this is the first year I'm actually posting the little reviews that I do on Instagram, and everybody seems to like that.
They're very good. I was just talking about this to Mr. Knife Reviews. How I review movies on Letterboxd is like, sometimes when I write, because I always write plot, good stuff, bad stuff, and should you watch this? And in the plot, I will sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do with the movie. Like I watched a movie I'm gonna give you an example. I watched a movie called Bastille Day with Idris Elba, and I forgot the dude's name, the guy that plays Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. And then I basically referenced them as their characters from The Wire and Game of Thrones as like the plot. I was like, they join up to form the best like buddy cop force ever. Like that's the plot. And like people on Letterboxd started following me because they're like, yo, what is this guy doing? Like, I'll just be silly about it, but I'll continue.
No, yeah, it's okay. The only one that I've watched that's new is Grace the Possession, where it's done by the point of view of the possessed. And that was really interesting. It wasn't that great of a movie, but the idea is sound. I really hope somebody else picks up on that.
Don't you like hate that with horror? I find that happens a lot. Where it's like they were almost there. You know what I'm saying? They were almost, you almost had it. And I'm like, you want to support them too, because it's so hard. It's so hard to scare us now too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel,
I completely agree.
Fuck, I forgot what I was going to ask. All right. You know what? Let's move on to this part. You know what? Before we lose all the knife people, you guys have any knives around?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What have you guys been carrying lately?
Well, today I got in the new Asher Spear.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving this thing. I mean, it just so smooth, and I believe it will be coming out soon. And man, this thing's awesome.
So you got, what is that, G10? What kind of steel is on that?
It is G10 S35VN.
Nice.
I mean, he upgraded the pocket clips. It almost has a feel like the Nomad, but it's a liner lock. And man, look, this thing is sweet. I'm not.
And it's going to be under 100, right? Probably from Asher. Oh, that's amazing, dude. Mr. Knife Reviews. Mr. Knife Reviews. How about you?
Yeah. So this is my like standard office.
Of course.
Kapara and Gent, man, they're just
it's so nice.
Looks so good. My problem is, man, I'm always like playing with them on my desk, and like. At first, I was like, I'm not going to be that like, guy that carries around 2 knives in your pocket. That's like a little bit too much, right? But then I kept like leaving them on my desk because I was playing with them on my desk. And then I go and like walk down the office. Somebody's like, hey, you got a knife? I'm like, hey, knife guy, you got a knife? I'm an idiot. So I started carrying the second one, just like, okay, I'm not going to play with both of them, I've actually got a handful of guys in my office now that are carrying and flipping during office meetings. It's
nice.
Good stuff. Yeah, these two, and I've been carrying this guy around. Gonna have a review coming up on it, but it's the drive armbar drive.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
I like it. There's some weird stuff about it, but I like the profile of it. And,
cool.
Yeah, so in carrying those have been my three because I've turned into that guy.
Crimson, how about you, buddy?
Well, you caught me off of work really quick, so I got my 2 that I usually carry. So today I just had the Warncliffe Hat 40 Japanese Delica.
Nice.
my always the fixed blade that I got from Alex Steingraber. His Sasquatch. This one's Rex 121. So my card is in G10, but the hardest steel I own besides I got a piece of tungsten carbide too. And then
nice.
If I'm home, I always have my Microtech.
Sick, dude. Sick. I've
But
got the oh, which one is that?
So this is the Ultratech and Tri-Grip. So it's got the little triangles.
Dude, that's
like
a
this
flex.
thing is unique. I had no idea it was that rare when I bought it. So I mean, this thing is amazing. I love it.
Nice. I've got the Best Tech Ivy on me today. This came from the Apex Fast Round Group, S35VN, titanium frame lock flipper, O-stop hell design, just like a cool, design. One of those kind of fantasy knives, but very functional. Reminds me of like an Elijah Isham or something, like completely weird, but feels very good in the hand. And front flipper. That's what I carried today, but I also have been carrying, of course, the Williamson Copenhagen Red E. Since I did finish the review today, this is going to go on Kickstarter soon. And triple stop slip joint. I'm in $68, 14C28N G10 triple stop. Like, I don't know where else you're going to get this kind of weird, funky action. It's just fun. Like, you know what I mean? It's just fun. So that's what I've been carrying, man. Let's go back to horror now, since we kept the knife people in, right? And then we're gonna talk about what we're here for. All right. I was watching a horror movie today called Good Boy. It's weird. So I watch movies on my phone most of the time because I'm always commuting, and my train rides are like more than 1 hour each way. Right? My commute's like over 2 hours, so that's a perfect time to watch a movie. But I want to watch more Shudder movies, but Shudder doesn't allow you to download. So on Shudder, I'm watching the movie The Room, which Tier 1 recommended to me, which is absolutely awesome. I'm like 75% done with the movie. Really like it. And then the other movie that I had to watch while I'm underground on the train is this movie Good Boy. And it's about this lady that like adopts this dog, and it starts killing people, and she's covering up for it and stuff. It's like a, horror comedy, which brings me to my question. Like, horror movies, do they have to be scary to be good? My niece, who's into horror, hit me up the other night and was like, Tito, like, send me some very scary like horror movies. And I'm sending her a lot of the stuff. She's watched everything. I'm like, Autopsy of Jane. She's like, I've seen it. Like, It Follows, a lot of the recent stuff. I'm trying to give her recent stuff. And, that's my question. Like, does a horror movie have to be scary for it to be good?
No, not at all. Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. But I mean, like, can it just, even if it's not a horror comedy, right? Like, can it just be like a cool movie and still be considered a horror movie?
What about Troll Hunter? That would fall under that.
I love that movie.
That was great.
That was
it wasn't scary. Yeah.
That's an awesome movie. See, this is how I know that we're all on the same page, because not a lot of people would have watched that movie. Right. That movie's amazing, man.
I am never in the room with 3 people who have seen it.
Yes.
Likewise.
They're trying to do a remake of that in America or something, right? That's what I.
Oh God! For
I hope
years
not.
they've been saying that.
I hope not.
Me too.
But yeah, that's a good example, man. Any other movies that you guys think is just cool? Yeah, it's got some gore in there though, and some psychedelic stuff, right? So
like way at the end, it's more of a like tension building up throughout the whole movie. It has a completely different feel. That director, I can't think of his name for the life of me, but he is really, really good at what he does, and all of his movies have been on point.
I like a lot of his stuff. Anyone else like have a movie that is kind of...
Yeah, what do y'all think about like horror action movies? Like, they're generally not scary, but I enjoy them. Like, Van Helsing's probably a poor example because it really fails in the end. But I mean, I don't know, like, I love League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it's got a handful of horror icons.
Yeah. I like that movie.
It's not necessarily setting out to be hilarious, but like, it's enjoyable. Or like something like Underworld,
Yeah.
It's got jump scares and maybe some like brooding horror,
Mhm.
but I would say it's not terrifying. It's probably a good like entry level for somebody
Yeah.
just to like the genre.
It's funny that you said that because one of my favorite horror movies of all time, probably, well, my favorite movie of all time is The Crow, right? So that should just tell you the kind of movies that I like. But there's another movie that was part of that like Oktoberfest thing, 8 Films to Die For. Remember they were doing a bunch of those kind
Yeah.
of movies.
You
There was a
forget
movie,
Blockbuster all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. There's a movie called The Deaths of Ian Stone, and I love that
Yes.
movie. I love that. So basically, it's a
Oh,
guy
so good.
that keeps getting killed every day, and each time he wakes up, he's in another life. Like he's a junkie, he's like some hotshot lawyer type guy, and it kind of goes into like a superhero-esque. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's an action kind of horror thing, almost matrixy in a way. Like it's
Yeah.
really really fucking cool. If you haven't seen that, people who are watching, that's another good one that I recommend for people to watch. I actually used to use that as like a filter when I was still dating around a lot. I would show them that movie, and if they thought it was kind of lame, I'd be like, it's over, bro. You know what I mean? I don't swipe. There was no swiping back then, but uh so what was the first horror movie that you guys have watched? Crimson Fury, let's start with you.
Like ever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
If you can remember, or whatever
I
is
mean,
the earliest.
I want to say it was either Gremlins or Aliens, and Aliens would be a very good action horror sci-fi kind of mix because you get the scary part. But the one that just stays in my mind is Gremlins. I thought those victim things were everywhere, and they were gonna kill me.
Like
It was awful.
like Gizmo is just gonna be in your bed like
Yeah. Oh, it was bad. Don't watch that when you're 6.
No, that's crazy because I think I started watching horror around the same time because I can't remember past like 5 or 6 years old.
Mhm.
And I've definitely watched like Nightmare on Elm Street, and like my oldest brother was the one who introduced me to horror, and I was watching shit like Slumber Party Massacre, and I was like not even 8 years old, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I get to see these girls. I didn't even know that I liked the girls at that time, but you know what I mean? This guy's like drilling them, like, and I don't mean like having sex with them. He's literally
Yeah.
drilling them. So, I got introduced to horror real early. And I'm not sure if that's a bad thing that I got desensitized. How about you, Tier 1? What's the first like thing?
The first one I remember is the Freddy Krueger, but
Yeah.
Alien, I watched that, and I remember we had a VHS tape with like 4 or 5 horror movies on it, and I watched them just over and over and over. It was Alien on it. It was Freddy Krueger, one of the Friday the 13th, and crap, what was it? I think it was like Highlander or something like that on it.
Highlander.
Yeah, it was just so
There
random.
can be only one, dude.
Yeah, but I ended up
That was
watching
the shit back then.
Yeah, it was, and I watched that over and over and over. And then look, once I found out that they had video stores and stuff like that, and I was taking my parents there every weekend, making them rent me 3 or 4 of them. And it's just, and I still to this day, I'm constantly on the search for a good horror movie.
Yeah, same here. And you know what? When VHS and video stores, video rental places were open, even before Blockbuster, like the horror stuff was always like cheap or something. Like they were always on the discounted side. Like, oh, this one's $250, but like this action movie with Tom Cruise in it is $250, but this is like $125, and you're like, I'm gonna get the horror then. You know what I mean? Like, and you take a gamble and like wonder if it's good or not. How about you, Mr. Knife Reviews?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Gremlins because I think my first one was Critters. That's the first
Critters, dude.
Yeah.
I was like six, and my uncle introduced me to Critters, and pretty sure that wrecked me for life. And so I had my 4-year-old and 9-year-old watch it this summer during coronavirus like shutdown. We watched like 40 movies or something like that with kids. I was like trying to introduce them to all like the 80s and 90s like stuff we grew up on, and but yeah, I introduced them to Critters, and it's still got some good scares in it.
Yeah, Critters is cool, man. When you mentioned that, I got reminded of another movie which I watched when I was younger, and it basically made me think that I like Kevin Bacon in every movie, and that movie is Tremors. And every
Yeah.
time I see a Kevin Bacon movie now, it's so rare for him to be in a movie. I'm like, I gotta check it out. And I think it's because Tremors is ingrained in my memory. And
Mhm.
what did you guys think of that movie?
Love it.
That movie was great. It's a classic.
Yeah, with like the little sock puppet monster.
Yeah.
Graboids, man.
Yeah, man. Let's move on to foreign horror, right? What name a good like foreign horror movie that you've
Wreck.
liked? Oh, Rec 1. You were talking about
Yep.
that. Yep. I love that. I have a funny Rec story. So when this is back when there was torrenting. There was a lot of torrenting going on. This is back then. And I had Avatar, right? Like the movie, James Cameron, right? And I had Rec 2. And this is around the time that I was DJing and I was doing a lot of partying, you know what I mean? And it was St. Patrick's Day, or so I thought, right? And my homie came over and he was like, dude, it's St. Patty's Day, bro. We got to get fucked up. So like I took a Molly and I watched Rec 2. And I was in the movie, bro. Like, do you remember, because there's body cams, and then then the commander is like, Martos, Martos. Remember, he's always like calling the guy, and like Martos gets killed, and then me and my boy are like, no, Martos, don't die, bro. Oh man. Continue though. Do you have anything to add to that? Sorry, I just had to interject with that story.
Man, no, you know what? Speaking of that, so just to show you how sheltered I am. So we live in New Orleans. We went to Jazz Fest maybe 2 years back. And this guy walks up to me and he's like, hey, dude, you want some Molly? And I'm just sitting there. I'm just standing there. And I was like, no, man, no, thanks. And my wife's like, why'd it take you so long to turn down drugs? It's like, drugs? I thought bro had some tamales in his back. Like, I don't want your tamales from your backpack, man. How long is in your backpack?
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, look, like I haven't really, I mean, I've kind of hinted at this on my podcast before, but I full disclosure on who I am and like what I've done in my life and whatever. But I was a DJ for 10 years, man. I spun at some of the best clubs. I spun at Electric Daisy Carnival, which is one of the biggest music festivals. I did a lot of experimental things, and like, but here's how I know that I like absolutely love horror, because like what I love to do when I lived alone, like in the city, like I lived in a studio, was like I would take psychedelics and then I would watch a horror movie in the dark by myself, bro. And that is the greatest I think that's why now, since I'm like super clean, I'm so desensitized, because I don't get scared anymore, because when you're in that state, it's like, dude, like you are in the movie, like The Ring, The Grudge is next to me, like, you know what I mean? So, I really went full on with it, and yeah, you've heard it here first. So yeah, I mean, people probably fucking thought that already. I mean, I was DJing, I was doing a bunch of wild shit, like, but yeah, so foreign horror, let's get back to it. So Crimson Fury, you said Wreck, that's your choice, right? Why did you pick that one?
Just the intensity of that movie, and then just the way it was. I have really nice surround sound, and the way that they've mixed it, it almost lulls you into this little like, oh, we're just watching this little thing, and then all of a sudden it just goes 0 to 100 instantaneously, and it does not stop the rest of the movie. I had no idea that was coming, and that just it made such an impression on me. That was one of the last few movies to actually get my heart rate going. That and the Taking a Deborah Logan. Those are like the last.
Love
two
that movie. Love that movie. I'm
always on the hunt for something scary.
So Rec 1, right? Is it? Did you like Quarantine, which was the American version of it?
I honestly haven't saw it, because once I found out it was a remake of the other one, I'm like, there's no way it's gonna come close.
I got tricked. I didn't know that it was Rec. Like I read about it, right? And it just didn't click in my head. Like, oh, these are the same stories. So I watched it, and the main character is the sister from Dexter, right?
Yep.
The show, and she's great, right? So I watched it and I was like, this is Wreck. This is the same, you know, but it was done pretty well. That's kind of like I was talking about this with Tier 1 last week, which The Ring, right? The American remake of The Ring to me was better than the original. Like it scared the crap out of me. Scared the crap out of me, bro. The bejesus. Like I was like so scared. And that actually was probably the last time that I got really spooked is when I watched that movie, because there was nothing else like it. And I didn't see the original first. I saw the American version first. How about you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, the Ring is like what I want to say about Wreck is that by the end of it, it combines two different genres that have never really been combined before: zombies and demons together.
Yes.
That, no spoilers, but a lot of people have seen it. But the Ring is something similar because the Ring changes the ending because you weren't supposed to release her, and that was just like mind blowing at the time.
Yeah.
So they're kind of similar. That's why I look a little more international, because
international stuff like really messes with you, man. So Tier 1, any foreign horror that's really like giving you the spooks? Or
the original Grudge, you know. I forget the name of it. It's
Ju-on.
Ju-on. Yeah, I was thinking that was Ring, but look, that movie was just it was just creepy to me. And then they came out with the American version, and I was just like, yeah, it's that great movie, you know.
Yeah, dude, that was a good one for me. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying it's always stuck with me. It's been, the first one I think about when somebody asks me that, you know.
We're gonna go back to that, The Grudge and The Ring. But Mr. Knife Reviews, what you have any foreign things that you've watched?
Not a whole lot. There's been a couple of them that I just thought were cool, like Blood and Chocolate. I thought that was a
Blood and Chocolate. Is that the werewolf movie?
Yeah, French werewolf. Like I'd seen like the box. I was like, whatever, man. But I caught like I missed like the very beginning of it, but I caught it like on TV like this time last year, and I was like, this is actually like really good. I enjoyed it, and I'm kind of like I'm making my way through the Japanese version of The Ring right now on Shudder because I've never seen it before. But yeah, The Ring, the American Ring, scared the crap out of me. It was definitely like fresh blood for the horror genre. I felt like it really pushed us into some new territories.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched The Ring versus The Grudge?
Yep.
Okay, so what's your take on it?
So I've seen all the Rings, all the Grudges, all the American versions, and there's like 8 movies in that package now. So versus the Japanese one. The Japanese one really, I prefer the Grudge over the Ring.
Yeah.
It's just I feel it's scarier because it deals with spirits a little bit more, whereas the Ring is kind of like a hybrid spirit psychic. The ESP, Espers as they call it in the Japanese culture, like anime. It kind of goes more that way, but the American Ring was very good, but still I'd go with the Grudge over the Ring.
No, but I mean like The Ring versus the Grudge, the movie. Have you watched
the actual
it?
movie?
Yeah.
That one I have not seen. That's the one I have.
I'm the only one that has watched it. And like all right, that's homework for the next time we hang out. Is try to find that, because I watched it and like, okay, first of all, as a horror fan, I enjoyed it because it's the two of them. They're like squaring off. It's literally them, Sadako and I forgot the other girl's name from The Grudge. It's them. They're fighting each other. You know what I mean? Not like kung fu fighting, like in their own way. You know what I mean? Like you see the Grudge girl about to go after the humans, and then you just see hair like grab her and pull her into another dimension. Like it's a Ring move, so it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna say that it's a must watch, but if you're a fan of those movies, it's one of those that were really good. Have any of you guys watched the movie A Serbian Film? No. Okay, so no one's you guys know what it is, right?
Yeah, I've read from Astronauts talked about it.
It's like one of those exploitation movies that has a lot to do with sex and stuff. I wanted to bring it up because it was a movie that a lot of people when they watched it, because it's one of those like snuff type movies, but it was the only movie of its kind where the budget was so huge. Like dude, some of the horror movies that we love, I wish they had this budget. It's like insane. The story, I'm not gonna get into it because you guys haven't watched it, but I figured it was worth a try to see if you watch it, because I watched it once. And
I read the Wikipedia page for it. I was like, nah.
no, you shouldn't watch it for sure. I'm already damned. You're the only hope for all of us. So you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm already. Have you guys checked out the movie Terrified on Shudder?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It's crazy with the little clown guy.
No, not Terrifier. Terrifier is the gory movie with the clown. Terrified is the one where there's a scene and there's a dead little boy with milk. And they're like, so basically it's like these paranormal investigators, right? Right, Crimson? Right?
Right here.
I think one of them is a paranormal investigator or something like that. They all have something to do with like paranormal. They decide to just like go to a neighborhood and like investigate like different hauntings. And I mean, you can already, without even spoiling the plot, you already know what happens. But the ghouls and creatures in this movie are really scary.
I have it set up for my week 4 watches.
Yes, there you go. Is there any other movies that you guys want to recommend to people that have watched us so far that you think that maybe we wouldn't have watched? Did you watch The Dark, by the way, like that I told you guys?
Not yet. It's on the agenda.
I know Misheard watched it, and we're both on the same page, really, which is one of those movies. It's almost there. You know what I mean? It's like there was something cool happening.
Yeah.
And how about shows? What are you guys checking out? You guys checking out any horror shows right now? You guys watch the Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Lovecraft Country,
I'm
Raised
on
by Wolves.
episode 3 of Bly Manor right now.
How do you feel about it so far?
I like it. It's a lot different than the first. A lot less jump scares, more story oriented.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool how they used a lot of the same characters and all from the first, kind of like American Horror Story.
Yes.
That was really cool.
What's crazy is, the lady that basically narrates The Haunting of Hill House and also Bly Manor was in a movie called Gerald's Game. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, where she tied the dude to the bed.
Well, she gets tied to the bed by her husband. Her husband takes a pill of Viagra and he gets a heart attack and she's like, stuck, right? That's basically the premise of the movie. I didn't spoil anything. That's what it is. But the best part of that movie to me was at the very end, that lady was narrating the end of the movie like Haunting of Hill House. It was this beautifully written narration, right, of like the events that happened to her. Leading up to the courtroom and all that stuff. And I don't want to spoil it for the guys that haven't watched it. And I was like, I didn't get it at first. And then I watched Haunting of Bly Manor and I put the two together. And I was like, that's why the end of that movie was so fucking good, because of that style, And I feel like The Haunting of Bly Manor is like that right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's very dramatic. I would never watch anything with that much drama in it. And then it'll give you a few scares, but it's just like so well done. I do think that the fact that it's like a period piece, it was like not in modern time, kind of made it less scary for me. I'm not big on horror from back then because I feel like they can't get me now. Maybe, I don't know. Have you guys checked it out? How about you?
I haven't seen it.
Man,
I don't typically watch TV shows. I just feel like I'm getting trapped. Like, I want to. If I would commit to like a 2.5 hour movie max or so, and but I just shows that just keep on going. I did Walking Dead for like 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh, that was definitely a trap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel locked in, man. At that point, you're like, you've committed so much, like you got to keep on going. And just, I don't know, man. Yeah,
let's talk about.
I completely agree with that one.
Go ahead.
No, I completely agree with that one. That's why I stick to just the. I hate to say it, but the ghost reality shows. I mean, I just use it to find out where I'm going to go next.
That's awesome, dude. So you know what? That's funny that you just talked about that, because that's what I wanted to ask. Because guys, look, if you think about it, we did an hour already. and we're gonna get to this paranormal investigator stuff right now. Isn't that awesome? We like killed an hour, and it seemed like 10 minutes. That's what happens when you're talking about stuff that you like. Hey, Mr. Knife Reviews, is your mic off? Can you say something?
Yeah. I'm good. There's
Okay.
vacuuming, so I'm just.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So Crimson Fury, how did you get into, paranormal investigating?
Well, just the experiences that I had when I was a kid, and then in this house when I was grabbed and stuff, I just wanted answers. So when we actually figured it out, well, the one time we went to Waverly Hills, Kentucky, so the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and they had this thing where you spend $50 per person, and then you get with 50 other people, you get to basically investigate the place, and it's big enough that everybody's far enough away that you can get some, audio recordings and stuff. We just had basic stuff, getting started. But the feeling of going there, it hooked me like 100%. I'm like, this is awesome.
Wow.
When you start hearing things and you get excited because you have no idea what it was, and you're just trying to figure it out. It's like, I don't really have the fear of something trying to attack me. It's more of, I'm just really interested in finding out what this is once and for all. And then ever since, we've been going to different places. I've been to Ashmore Estates, downstate. I'm in Chicago, so kind of close to everything in the Midwest. Waverly Hills, we went to, what's the place in Ohio? Saddamsville Rectory. That was also featured on Ghost Hunters. I was there for 2 complete days, so days and nights. But the best one that I always get back to is Waverly Hills. That wow. I always get some sort of audio piece there.
Yeah, the thing with
audio than anything else. Sorry.
The thing with ghost hunting, like reality shows, is like I'm into it, right? But I feel like they have to. They dramatize it a bit too much because, like, look, man, like I said, I'm from the Philippines. I've slept in cemeteries overnight. Like since I was a kid, I've had some freaky shit. Actually, like, let me just tell you right now, a really crazy thing that not just I experienced. Okay, so my dad passed away. This was like 3 years ago, maybe, right? And basically in the Philippines, in like the what is that called? Like the wake. I think James had to dip. Yeah.
1 second.
All right. All right. So sorry. In the Philippines, where you have the wake, right? Is that I'm not so familiar with the terms here. The wake is when like people come, the body is still there in the coffin, right? That's what it's called. So in the Philippines, like it's very normal to have like a party when that's happening, right? So all the relatives get together and stuff like that. And they usually have a room in the back where you could sleep. And we had bunk beds there. 4 people could fit in that room. So we were taking turns to greet people who would want to come and pay respects, right? So I was coming from America. My brother, Blake, he already lives there. He was already there. And the strange phenomenon that happened was in the morning, there was like bread there, freshly baked, okay? And it's called pandesal. It's kind of like a breakfast roll. I'm talking piping hot, bro. All right. In the brown bag, which is what they normally come in, on the dining room table. In the other room is where my dad's body is and stuff. And where my brother's wife's mom, my mother-in-law, is basically sleeping right in front of the doorway in case someone comes in. She didn't hear anyone come in. My brother and his wife were sleeping in the room, right? So there was nothing, no one could have come in. They wake up, the bread is there. And, they're like, what the fuck? Like, oh, hey, they're asking my mother-in-law, like, hey, did you buy it? Like, they're eating it and stuff for breakfast. And they're like, no, I didn't buy it. And then like, oh, maybe did a guest like bring it? Like someone who came to pay respects. Like, no, I didn't hear anyone come in. Because she's sleeping like right there. You know what I'm saying? And then they asked the guards. This is like right before I got there. So they asked the guards, like, is it customary or is it like part of the service to get free bread every morning, when you rent the room? And they said no. So like my brothers and I get to the place, you know, Blake, my brother, is telling us like what happened. We're fucking crying, right? We're like eating the bread and shit. Like it's like the best thing I've had because I just traveled so far to get there. And like we never found out like who bought it, which is kind of a freak thing and not scary, but like how did that happen? You know, things like that have always happened to me in my life, especially in the Philippines. Not really here, but down there, man, it's something different. Like you know, like I've spent time in the mountains there in like a small town where like all the houses are made out of like, you know, like low quality cement or like just metal, you know, shack stuff. And like there's not a lot of, you know, technology, and everyone spends most of their time just hanging out and talking to each other at night and stuff. And there's just a different vibe, you know? Do you experience that? Like when you go to certain places, you have this weird feeling that, you know, something else is going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm asking Crimson because you know, he's the yeah. No, but you can add on afterwards.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that certain places are scarier than others. I mean, the Ashmore place, it was really creepy in a lot of the shows, but it just was not scary when I was there at all.
Wow.
The Saddamsville Rectory, the second floor, I did not like it whatsoever. It was just, it was a different feeling. When we went downstairs, it was fine, but I always felt it's difficult to explain, and it could just be in my head because I knew about the place, and you know, I'm stuck here for 2 days. But it was just different. And then Waverly is just, it's a heavier feeling of just, because I know there's a lot of death there, and that gets in my head too about how just people suffered in their own pandemic at the time. And it went a lot worse for them.
Damn.
So if you go into a place knowing about it ahead of time, it definitely, you have a preconceived notion of what you're going to feel there, though, is what I feel. If you weren't at a cemetery or, you know, anything, would you feel the same way?
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. Sleeping in a cemetery, like, didn't feel scary to me, even though we were all trying to scare each other. I guess it's because it was a holiday, and there is like some people there. We're lighting candles, like, you know, it's a third world country. We didn't have a lot, so we're like trying to make candle wax balls and throw them at each other and shit. You know, like that's what we were doing. But it's very peaceful, actually. When people when they tell people like, yeah, you know, I used to sleep at cemeteries, like where a lot of my dead relatives were buried in Bicol in Naga City. And they'd be like, what? Oh my God. You know, like, they're like, wow, that's so crazy. You know, Tier 1, you had something to add to like the feeling of certain places.
Yeah, 100%. There was this place on the beach in Biloxi. It's, I guess about 20, 30 miles away from where I am now, but I used to live a lot closer to it. And when we were teenagers, we would sneak off and go over there, and it was a huge abandoned hospital. And it had been abandoned for, we're talking like 40 something years. It was all boarded up, but it was literally like the hospital was just shut down just all of a sudden, and they just evacuated all the tools and, you know, the gurneys and just stuff laying around. Yeah, really, really creepy place. But I remember going there as a kid, man, and we were like kind of walking down the hallway a little bit, and the whole place just had a completely different feeling to it. You know, the air was really, really thick. And I remember, I'll never forget, but we were coming down a hallway, and then all of a sudden they had one of those big hospital beds, like huge hospital bed, just roll across the floor and slam up against the wall. And dude, it scared us so bad, we just hauled ass out of that place. But, yeah,
scary, bro.
I'll never forget that to the day I die. And I mean, this place was crazy. We'd, you know, pop open the elevator shafts and jump across them because they had like double elevators, you know, for like hospitals. Yeah, it was crazy. You know, I'm surprised I wasn't a ghost in there falling down one of them elevator shafts. But the thing is, I've never been to a place like that in my life where I could feel it in the air to where there's just something going on here. It's just different than any other place I've ever been, you know?
Yeah. Mr. Knife Reviews, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you know, so my wife and I, we like going to spooky places. You know, that was one of the things we did for our and our honeymoon. So we were from Arkansas.
That is so awesome that you're a minister, but like that's what you guys do.
Well, so we wanted to go to like the weirdest place we could think of, but we couldn't go to anywhere like, very far away. So we're like, hey, New Orleans, we've never been to New Orleans, so let's go to New Orleans. And we were driving through, and I was like, man, we watched all these like spooky shows, like James talking about the ghost hunter type stuff, and we were watching this stuff all in Louisiana, and we'd heard one about the Myrtles plantation, in St. Francisville. And we're like, oh, that'd be cool, man, but it's out of the way. It's like 2 hours away from New Orleans. No way we'd be able to go there. And so we hop in the car, day one of honeymoon, and driving through. Melody's like, oh, we'll do like scenic route. And so we're driving by, and we passed by after multiple hours on the road. She's like, did that just say Myrtles Plantation? We're like, no way, we just happened to drive right past it. So we're like, okay, hop out. Let's go in. This is like days of like, when your cell phone had like the little square, you're doing like,
yeah.
Yeah, so we get there, and it's kind of got a creepy vibe to it, and my wife and I were like, just the sun's going down, not a lot of time, and so we're just, there's a couple people there, they're talking to us like, hey man, look, I got this picture of this hanging guy from the tree. We're like, looks like your thumb over the camera, but okay. And so the guy asks us, he's like the only person that's staying there, goes, hey man, can I get a ride into town? I was like, no, dude, actually, car's full. And so the owners of the plantation are like, oh, that's cool. We'll take him into town. We're like, cool. So we go around, we're taking some more pictures. We kind of look around, we're like, we're the only people here now. Like we're standing here, like, and it's like getting dark. I mean, it's like it's the sun's already gone down. I mean, it's getting there. So we're like, all right, we need to get out of here. This is getting pretty creepy. And so we like rush over to the car, and we go to unlock the door and open up the door, and unlock it, open up the door, and the door locks itself again, locks itself back.
Holy
and I unlock it, and I pull on the door, and it locks itself back. And that does it a couple times. It's like, oh man, we gotta get out of here. So we hop in the car, we roll in, and the whole thing about Myrtles is they're supposed to have like this slave who accidentally killed 2 of the kids, and the other slaves hung her.
Damn.
And my wife was driving, and we like spooky stuff, but like we're pretty skeptical, And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, look, I don't want you to think I'm going crazy, but like I feel like there's something around my neck, like just like it's getting tight around my neck. I was like, girl. And so we just keep driving, like you're just it's she's like real bad hypochondria, I'm like, it's like it's probably nothing. And like another hour down the road, she's like, I'm serious. It feels like I have a hard time breathing. Like there's something tightening around my neck. We finally go to the hospital, and it's like the first steps of what's it called when you like you get like super tired and you're like you're in bed for like mono. Yeah.
Mono.
It was like the first stages of. It was the first stages of mono.
Holy
it just happened
crap.
to me that it kicked in at that time. And then like a week later, I was trying to get in my car and I was in a rush, and I noticed that like if you push the unlock and then pull on the door 1 second later, it locks itself back.
Yeah.
So like all of it was just like up in our head. We were like, we freaked ourselves out.
Yeah.
Completely reasonable explanations, but like scared the crap out of us at the time.
Or was it? Did your wife get mono from a ghost, bro?
From the ghost.
The mono ghost. What's your guys' like favorite genre of horror? I've asked you this before, individually. Mine is actually like ghost spooky stuff is what scares me the most. That's what I like. Possession can be cool too. I like creature features, but really it's like stuff like The Ring is a perfect example of like what I really like. That feeling is what I'm chasing in horror. How about you, Crimson? Like, what's your favorite style?
I 100% agree that the spiritual, supernatural stuff, all of that is a lot better than the creature features, because I hate to say a lot of those things are just not believable anymore after you see about 20 of them.
Yeah. It's just fun, basically, the creature features.
It's fun, but it's not, you can't get the fear from it.
Yeah. How about tier 1?
Yeah, 100%. It's paranormal, spiritual. Look, I love like Insidious and all the paranormal activities and all that. Love it.
Yep. How about you, Mr. Knife Reviews?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say my favorite is like vampire zombie. I feel bad
Love it. Love
being
it.
vampire zombie
Love.
because like it's so played out. But like I
Mhm.
was like, man, I was into zombies before they were cool, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
But as far as what scares me the most, it's definitely the supernatural stuff because I'm like, that's
Yeah.
real. You
Yeah.
know? But
That is
like
that is an apparition and a
yeah,
spirit, right? They talk about it in the Bible and stuff, like spirits and stuff. So it's like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So you
definitely
definitely
the possession type stuff like that freaks me out the most. But I enjoy like zombie vampire probably the most.
yeah. That's why, you know, backtrack onto Rec and the series is like they mixed zombies and possession, which is so awesome. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I didn't expect that, and I was like, oh snap, you know, which is funny. You know, the Koreans made their own version of the ring called I think it's like I forgot what it's called. It's not called Ringu. Maybe it is, but they did it more so like it's a virus that is transmitted like ocularly.
Huh.
So if you haven't watched the Korean version of it, it's kind of a cool take on it. They get very sciencey with it. I don't know if you watched that. When I watched it by accident, I had a Korean roommate in Jersey when I was living in his like shed. Like I ran away from, well, I didn't run away from home. Like the year 2000 was the first time I left home, like right before everything shut down for Y2K. So on the PATH train to Jersey, everything turned off. The train just shut off. You know how like for like that couple of minutes, and then, you know, nothing happened. The world continued. But yeah, like I lived in Jersey. I lived with this Korean dude. He was like, I was like, yo, rent some horror movies, man. Of course, he went to a Korean video store and he got this movie. And I was like, yo, this is The Ring. And it was that version. That was the first version of The Ring that I've ever watched. It was a Korean movie.
Yeah.
And they explained it as if it was a virus. You know what I mean? Is there anything that you guys want to end on? We've done like over an hour. This is so much fun.
Yeah,
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to, you know, to try to like do this. Every now and then we'll all get together and we'll like just talk about this stuff because I don't get to talk about horror with people that actually know their stuff a lot. Like my girl, dude, my girl watches like no horror. She watches musicals. You know what I mean? Like that.
Hey, Cats was creepy.
Yeah, my girl was like, we gotta watch Cats sometime. And it was like, no, you're watching it. You know what I mean? Like it's on Hulu now. Because my girl was a theater geek. She was theater major, graduated with a degree in acting in college. And she's a personal trainer at Equinox now. So she didn't even have to do that. But you know, she's very into the musicals and all that stuff too. And don't know horror, bro. You know, I don't know how it's working. I have no idea, but it is. You know, how about you, man? Like, you know, do your significant others like watch horror?
Oh yeah, 100%.
No, she's in the same boat as me. It sucks too, but it works right now, so I'm like okay with it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anything that you guys want to end on? Any recommendations you think that a new? How about we do this? We're on this, right? One horror recommendation for beginners and one horror recommendation for veterans that they may have not watched. You first, Crimson Fury.
All right. Horror veterans, Butterfly Kisses. I know I recommended that to you. Did you see it?
Love it. Love it.
That was really good. Unexpected. And then for beginners that we haven't mentioned yet is Trick or Treat.
Ah, yes. Also love.
Beautiful.
Cool movie.
Everybody I know loves watching that with me.
Killing with a lollipop, right? Like, yeah. Tier 1.
All right, I would say for the veterans, VHS. There's
the original.
Yeah, any one of them, but definitely do them in order. You know.
Yeah.
And I guess for the people that don't know much about it, I would say Insidious. Insidious. It's a good one.
Going ham right away. You know what? Maybe they'll think that the bad guy is Darth Maul because that's what I thought at first. I was like, oh snap.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's enough to scare them, but give them a little taste of it at the same time.
Yeah, cool. Mr. Knife Reviews, you know, before I forget, like, dude, you are like the priest from the movie Dead Alive, Peter Jackson's first movie. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He's like a combat priest fighting these zombies. It's so cool. Like, and you know, obviously he's into horror. He lives in it. But yeah, go on. Like, what are your recommendations for a veteran and for a beginner?
Yeah, so veteran, I mean, probably most veterans have seen it, but if you haven't seen it recently, 30 Days of Night.
I love that movie. I love that
Revisited
movie.
it. Man, it's so good.
Hmm.
If you haven't seen it recently, like the music is good, the acting is good. Like
Hmm.
the characters convey so much of their relationship and their
Yeah.
personality. It's just a handful of words every once in a
Yeah.
while. Like, script is not very, dense, but it's just, I mean, not very, it's just very dense.
Yeah.
And then I would say beginners, Happy Death Day.
Oh yeah, I like that movie.
Tons of fun,
Mhm.
tons of fun, man.
Yeah. For me, veterans, I'm sure you've watched this already, but I really enjoyed Lake Mungo. That is like
Oh.
one of my favorite movies. It's a kind of a documentary style, like Australian, right, or something.
Yep.
And it like at the end of it, like it just, I had a heavy feeling, you know what I mean? And I like that like again, I'm chasing the fucking psychedelic fucking terror, you know. So that movie like gave me that feeling without, this is when I was like super clean already. For beginners, man, that's tough, man. I don't know. Watch watch Jaws like I did, and it fucked me up for the rest of life. But before we go, what was your experience with the movie The Sixth Sense? Because I watched it without knowing what it was. There wasn't internet at the time, really, right? Here's my experience with the internet at that time when The Sixth Sense came out. I would go in a chat room on AOL called NYC Asians, and that is how Asians got dates back then. If you had a picture that you somehow scanned into your computer, you would type in ASL in this chat room, and then I would send like a rose made out of an @ sign with like the parentheses and the and then I would be like, here's my picture, and then we'd go and meet up. And I met up with this girl named Izzy. Shout out to Izzy, Isabella. And we went to watch The Sixth Sense, and I had no idea what the fuck it was about, bro. I didn't even know Bruce Willis was in it, and we were at the very front row. So I got like the actual like the fucked up neck, and then the kid is like, want to play with my dad's gun? I'm like, you know what I mean? What was your experience with that movie? Like, did you guys like it? Crimson, we'll start with you first.
All right, I liked it because it definitely made me, fearful. It definitely gave me the chills. I really liked that. But by the end of the movie, because even after the big surprise and everything, it felt like there was resolution. I wasn't really afraid of it anymore. He was just trying to help everybody, and it kind of took away the fear from me. So it was a good movie, but it wasn't scary.
At the end, it wasn't. In the beginning, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Tier 1?
Yeah. I definitely actually watched it the other day. I think it came on like Showtime or something. But yeah, I mean, that was anything M. Night Shyamalan's, I'm gonna like. But
except for The Last Airbender, right? Because I'm gonna kick you off the chat room right now.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay.
That movie doesn't exist. We don't mention it.
He's a really good director when he wants to be. But
I like his stuff usually.
Yeah. So the thing is though, with that movie, it kind of gave you a sense that the spirits might have a reason being there, and they might be scary or whatever, but there's probably something, a good reason that I guess I'll just leave it at that.
So you're pretty much in the same boat as Crimson, which is like at the end you kind of felt like Bruce Willis is being this good guy and just trying to help people. Mr. Knife Reviews.
Really?
Yeah, same. After it ended, I was like, I wasn't ready for it to be over. Mr. Knife Reviews, how about you?
All right. So I was like 16, maybe 17. I had only been a Christian for like 5-6 months, something like that. It was super early on. I was really trying to distinguish my life as a believer because I had lived this whole other life, and people are like, why are you acting so weird? Why won't you do the things you used to do?
Yeah.
So I was asking around. I worked at a lawyer's office as like a little temp worker, and I was asking this lady, I was like, hey, is there like any like nudity or like anything like really over the top in it? And she's like, no, it's all right. Oh, but Bruce Willis is, and she says,
told you right away.
She gave away the twist. And I was like, Bruce Willis is what does that even mean? First, like 10 minutes in the movie, I was like, she's dead. She's a dead woman. I'm gonna go back to the office.
He's like, I'm not gonna be Christian anymore. She's dead. You know what I mean? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt kill. No.
I wanted to like call her like 5 years later and be like,
Yeah.
Yo, have you seen The Village yet?
Yeah.
You know,
The Village.
Ruined that for you.
That's another one that people get really upset about. The Village is like such a mixed take, you know, on it. And you know, one more thing that's kind of like the movie The Sixth Sense that came out, I want to say maybe around the same time, also had one of my favorite actors in it, Kevin Bacon. Heard of him? Stir of Echoes. Have you guys seen that movie? Dude.
Very good movie.
Whoa,
hell yeah.
right?
Very good.
Yeah, I just got chills right now talking about
The
it.
sequel
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, you know, Kevin Bacon wasn't in it. That's
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
like
but
Rob
yeah.
Lowe or something.
There's a couple of movies I watched that I didn't know what they were about. Stir of Echoes was one of them. The Sixth Sense, Deep Blue Sea. No idea what the fuck that was about, and it scared the shit out of me because the Jaws thing. And I was on a date again, and I was like freaking out more than the girl. You know, Samuel L. Jackson was like, "We're gonna be." I'm like, "Oh shit," you know. So, dudes, it was a pleasure having you guys on. I hope you guys had a great time.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna release this Halloween week, that Friday. And yeah, man, follow Crimson Fury on Instagram. That's Crimson with a 0 in it. Tier 1 Gear Reviews on Instagram. I think I don't even have to speak for Mr. Knife Reviews already, because your memes are legendary in the knife world right now. But really had a great time. I'm going to do this again. This is your boy in the NYC. It's me, Ray, and this is the EDCC saying peace. Happy Halloween.
Yo, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so we can squad up in the comments.